even if this course is a lot about doing stuff from scratch, it's good to know the textures that comes with Blender. So we go through them step by step, and I start in the list from the top, which is the brick texture. So if you want that one, it's just to press Shift A, go to texture, and as you can see, it's in the top here. And I will just go through them very quickly, but in this lesson it will be only the brick texture. So select the brick texture and you're good to go. It has two outputs, so it has the color output, and the color output is depending on the three colors here, color 1, color 2 and the mortar. So the mortar is the black one, the edges here, and color 1 and color 2 are like a mix that we have here. So it's not just those two colors, it's a mix between those two colors. That mix is done by changing the bias here. So if I drag that completely to -1, I only use the top one, and if I drag it to 1, it's only using the bottom here. So if you use it 0, then you have about equal mix between the first one and the last one in like random order here. So in fact you can use this if you want to as a random output of information to use as other stuff that is not bricks, but that is more complicated. Right now I'm just going through bricks, the base of it. You can also see that we have like a row that goes from here, and then the next row is like offset half of the first row, and then we go back to the same offset that we had in the first row, I should say. So it's going 0, 0.5, 0, 0.5 and so on. And that is the offset here in our brick texture. So if I change that to 0, you see we don't have any offset. And how often I should do the offset, I can decide on the frequency. So now it's every second row, but if I put 3 here, it's every third row that got the offset that I put in the top here. So I can take that back to 2 here. And before I go through all these stuff here, I will also show you the factor output, because the color was these 3 here, but the factor is always the same. It's black for the tile or the brick, and it's white for the edge or mortar here. And it doesn't matter if you change the bias or if you change the colors, the mortar or whatever, it will always be black for the bricks and white for the edges. And that is really good when we are doing some masking in Blender. So good to know, color for color and mask when you use the factor here. Okay, then we have the squash, and it's almost the same as the offset, but instead of changing where we put everything, we change the size of every tile with the frequency we put in here. So there you can decide how everything should be squashed or so on to get some variations into this. I think that it's a good start in most cases, but it's a bit too little to make a really great looking wall with brick textures. It's like a cartoonish stuff that you do here, and that's also why I mostly do all my brick walls from scratch, because this is too little variations. We don't have enough parameters here to play with it, but it's good to know how they work in a way. So I can put this to 1, and I can put this offset to 0, and then it doesn't matter what frequency I have because it will be the same here. Then I have all the stuff down here. We have a scale, and if I put in the UV here and we use the scale of 5, then you can perhaps think, okay, but this is way over 5, and that is because we use a lower number here when it comes to the width and height. So if I put this to 1 and I put this to 0.5, then you can see with a scale of 5 I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if I have the width of 1, and I get the double amount of the height since I have 0.5 here. So that is how the scale works here. So if I wanted to do it using my own math here, I could of course do it by just putting in scale of 1 here, and I can put 1 and 1 here, and then you can see I get a square here. It's easier to see if I change those two. Mortar size, that is how big edge it should be, and the smoothness is of course the smoothness on that edge. So if I want a repetition of this, I can do that in the same way we did previous lessons, where we did all the scaling and adding a lot of tiles and so in. So I can just put in converter, vector math, put that to scale here, and put a fraction on the other side. So just copy this, Shift D, put it in, and change this to fraction. See if I can find it. There we have it. Change this to like 5. And you will have the same thing as putting the scale to 5 here. But you then control it here if you want to do some more variations that you're not able to do here. So you can of course use all that vector math that we will learn in this course, and that you already have learned some of, to modify or transform all the textures that we are working with. But for now we can just take that away, because we are learning about the texture and not so much about vector math in this chapter here. So we can put the scale to 5 again, and we have the mortar size and so on. And as you can see, if I now have the width and height in the same height, or if those are equal, then you can see it's not bricks anymore, it's tiles instead. So there we can use the tiles. So we have scale, mortar size, mortar smoothness, bias, brick width and row height, and those I have now showed you, and you can use them as you want to. But one thing I can tell you before we leave this brick texture is that you are not limited to the limits that you have on all these, because this is only going from 0 to 1. But of course you can manually put in 2 if you want to make it even smoother of some reason, or you can put this to a negative value to make it really sharp and so on. So you can play with these values, and the same with mortar size. It only goes from 0 to 0.125, but if you want to, you can put in 0.4 or something like that to make a really big line between every brick or tile here. So don't let the limits that you put in or that you have in the textures limit you. You can put in whatever you want into these as well. So that was a really short introduction into the brick texture, and I think it's good for you to know that it exists and that you can change the colors as you want to here and play with it to make a lot of stuff. And we can use it to, I think, many times in the future in this course, but this is how it works. And I will show you the next texture, which will be the checker texture, in the next lesson. So I'll see you there and say bye for now.